This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and for the first time in 2021 I am joined by Matchroom Boxing CEO Frank Smith. Frank, how are you?
Very well, mate. We're in Miami, in the bubble, albeit, but all is good. Yourself?
I'm all good. I appreciate you guys allowing me to come out here to enjoy the fights this weekend. Saul Alvarez returns to the ring against mandatory challenger Avni Yildirim. Talk to me about the fight. In fact, firstly, before we come on to that, talk about working with Canelo and what it's like.
Yeah, he's a dream. He's been brilliant. You know, we have guys that have worked really closely with him. I think we've got a really strong relationship, and we've obviously got this fight. You know, we're working towards his May fight as well, and then hopefully we'll continue the partnership from there. But I don't think there's any complaints from either side. Everyone's very happy, and it's working well, really smooth.
Just from kind of the media perspective, for somebody who is seen as the biggest star in boxing, the best fighter in the world, he's been brilliant. He hasn't kind of turned down a single interview, and we see fighters numerously in other occasions turn down interviews for whether they're tired or they just don't really want to. Does it surprise you by just how interacting kind of Canelo is?
I think he just enjoys it. I think, you know, when you're one of the best or the best in the world in your sport, it's fun. I think he enjoys fighting. You see that he's back out 2 months after, just over 2 months, about 9-10 weeks after his last fight. And yeah, I think he likes the bubble as well, because everything's compact. He's not bothered too much. He comes down, does his media, and yeah, he makes a real effort, which is good. It's great to see.
Now, this fight on Saturday, many people expect it to be a relatively comfortable night's work for Canelo. No disrespect to Avni Yildirim, but of course this is boxing. You never know what will happen. But what are your thoughts on the fight?
Look, I think Avni Yildirim is going to come and bring his all. That's one thing about him. He's going to come for a tear up, you know, and I think after seeing how well Canelo performed against Callum Smith in December, you know, I think Canelo will stop him. But I think while the fight is going, I think it's going to be entertaining, because he's not, like I say, he's not come just to lay down. He's come to have a go, and he will have a tear up.
How does anybody go about effectively trying to nullify Canelo's best attributes? Well, he's great at everything, but how do you go about trying to nullify Canelo and effectively beating him? Because we saw Callum Smith wasn't able to do so in December. Golovkin wasn't able to. These are most recent fights, of course. How do you actually go about it? Different styles. Yildirim be aggressive. Billy Joe Saunders in May, brilliant, slick southpaw boxer moving around the ring. What's the kind of style you need to operate to defeat Canelo?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I'm not sure what can beat him. I think Billy Joe Saunders is going to be a great fight. I think it's a tough test for both of the guys. Canelo looked so good against Callum Smith. He didn't seem to put a foot wrong. Seems to just be improving time on time. So, you know, who knows really? But Billy Joe believes he can go in there and get the win over him. So that's another one to look forward to as well. But when it comes to the actual detail of what someone's got to do in there to get in the ring and beat him, I'm not too sure, Andy.
The Billy Joe fight, is that all kind of confirmed now? It's just provided that Canelo comes through Saturday night, wins, and there's no injuries and what have you. Is it going to be Canelo Billy Joe 100% next in May?
That's what we're working towards, but 100%, let's wait and see.
There was obviously talk about Billy Joe travelling out here. I know he isn't now. Can you just update us as to why?
He was. Well, he's obviously deep in training for his next fight, so, you know, looking to fight soon. So that's why he's not here.
Frank, just moving forwards once again. Canelo, once again, as we mentioned, a star in boxing. Fought in December, fights February. May he's going to fight once again, and then he wants to fight two more times this year, so it'll be 4 altogether, 5 times from December until the end of this year. Just kind of, how refreshing is it to have somebody again like the stature Canelo holds in the sport, to be so willing to be so active?
Yeah, I think it's great. You know, we probably used to see that a lot more many years ago, where fighters would be active. You know, if someone of Canelo's level, you're more expecting 2 to 3 times a year, maybe 3 times max. But yeah, it's great to see, and it just shows how seriously and how much he how on the sport he is. He doesn't take breaks. He doesn't get away. He's constantly training. You just see by the shape of him. So yeah, great to see in this day and age that fighters want to do that, and great for the sport, because the more active he is, the more momentum you can build and keep that story going.
One fight which is now off on the card is Julio Cesar Martinez versus McWilliams Arroyo. Just talking about Martinez's injury and what's going to be the plan for Arroyo.
Yeah, so Julio, as we saw, has obviously injured his hand. Hopefully, he'll be back soon. He's been to see the doctor. McWilliams Arroyo, we are actually working to try and get another fight made. So maybe by the time this comes out, we will have announced another fight. But obviously, lots of work going into that to make that happen in the last 18 hours or so since we found out about Martinez. And then, hopefully we get Julio back out very soon. Fingers crossed we can get him back up and running, because he obviously missed out a fight last August, now this one as well, so he's a great talent. So we want to get him out as soon as we can and keep him moving.
I know it's been a frustrating period for Martinez. Frank, what's kind of going to be the plan for him when he can return to the ring?
I think obviously he's got his mandatory in McWilliams Arroyo, so I'm sure that'll be the fight he comes back with. But he wants to unify the titles, and he's a great star, and he's a great little character as well. So I think he's got a big future ahead of him.
Now, another fight which is now off, but we're working on an opponent for him: Mark Castro versus Raul Corona. You can't really,
very apt, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't really write it. Raul Corona, unfortunately, testing positive for coronavirus. Again, just talking about, it's also unlucky for Mark, because I'm struggling to remember a time when Mark's been able to just get into a fight week without having issues with opponents or pullouts, or he had COVID himself.
Yeah, we've actually got a replacement opponent for him who's coming into that, who's known about the fight. We had someone set up, so he's I haven't got his name in front of me, but I think he's got a UFC background as well. Real tough little test is going to be for Mark Castro in just his second fight. But the key was to make sure he got a fight tomorrow night, because it's a big stage for him. He obviously had his debut on the undercard of Canelo-Callum Smith, and he was very much looking forward to the Hard Rock coming to Miami. So the key for us was to get him back out there. So we've got an opponent coming in now.
I remember when he signed with Matchroom back in February, well, when it was announced rather. Yeah, and he's just, like we say, he's had so many fights kind of where they haven't gone ahead for various reasons. What's the plan for him this year? Is it to try and make up for lost time, or is it because he's so young still, you can take your time with it?
I think obviously we'll take our time, but the key is to keep him active and give him those fights to learn. He's probably going to he's got quite a few fights within this year period. We're keeping him active just 9 weeks after his debut. So that's the plan really. Obviously, being this is his second fight, he's going to take those learning fights throughout the year, but the key is building his name and building his skills.
Now, I saw Mr. Ryan Garcia knocking about in the hotel today. Spoke to him earlier.
Yeah, you asked me to come down at a certain time. I came, and then when I turned up, you said, "Frank, really sorry. Can you just come back in an hour because I want to see Ryan Garcia?" That's well out of order, to be honest.
Frank,
is Ryan Garcia a bigger name than me? I'm not sure how many social media followers has he got.
I don't know myself, mate, to be honest with you, but it's because I haven't interviewed him before, so I thought it says fresh face on the channel. That's all it was, Frank.
It's all right, mate. I'll forgive you for it. I
Appreciate
agree. I am a much lesser. I would definitely have binned off an interview with me for Ryan Garcia.
Well, we're here now. That's what matters. We're here now, and you get longer with me. So what more could you want?
Exactly, and you get your viewers get longer. I mean, listening to my monotone voice.
Right, Frank. But going back to Ryan Garcia, as I say, saw him earlier. Doesn't seem too keen on the Devin Haney fight. He just said that Devin hasn't fought anybody of note yet, and Ryan's looking towards Manny Pacquiao or Gervonta Davis. Just your thoughts on if you think we will see Garcia-Haney, because I know he's mandatory to face Devin.
Why did he fight Luke Campbell for the mandatory if he didn't want to fight the world champion? Doesn't really make much sense, does it? And it's very strange calling out everyone apart from Devin Haney, which means quite obvious he doesn't want to fight Devin Haney because he thinks he gets beat by Devin Haney. That's my opinion.
What will be the plan for Devin, though, if you're hearing that from Ryan? How do you kind of navigate Devin's career, especially at the minute? There's so much of a buzz around the lightweight division. Yesterday we saw that massive purse bid win by Triller for the Cambosos and Teofimo Lopez fight. Just what's going to be the plan for Devin?
Yeah, big fights for Devin Haney. He wants the biggest fights. He wants to fight Ryan Garcia tomorrow. That's the fight that's the fight that should be happening. But bearing in mind Ryan Garcia doesn't want to take that fight, we'll have to work on someone else, and we're doing that at the minute. So hopefully news soon on Devin Haney's next one. But I think hopefully Ryan Garcia sees sense in time, and we can make that fight happen because it's a massive show. What
did you make of Triller winning the purse bid yesterday, especially for near enough double what Matchroom bid.
I know. I was very shocked, but it's great. It's great for the sport of boxing, isn't it? Because it just shows that, you know, the sport is in a great place. People getting involved, people wanting to invest money. Brilliant. The fighters get paid more money. That's amazing because they deserve to. Because they get in the ring at the end of the day and they, you know, it's a dangerous sport. They put their lives on the line. They deserve every penny they can get. Fair play to Triller. Like I say, great for the marketplace. We've got new people coming in, new money, new investment. It's only going to grow the sport of boxing. So brilliant.
Now I've seen a few pieces from kind of quotes on Bob Arum and his reaction to losing the purse bids. But one in particular, he said he wasn't happy with Eddie still going ahead with putting a bid in, and he said next time that there's a purse bid's available for a Matchroom fighter, he's going to look to kind of step in and effectively jack up the bidding.
Perfect. If that means our fighters that we represent get paid more money, that's great, isn't it? Basically, he didn't get his own way. He tried to play a game and didn't win. Not with us, but with his fighter. Surely the aim is you represent someone, you want to do as well as possible for that person. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
And Frank, just moving on to the heavyweight division. We know Andi Ruiz Jr. is going to be in town this weekend. Just your thoughts on kind of what you can see happening with Andi. I know you guys aren't contracted with him, but with him knocking about, there's so many great fights for him to be involved with. Former unified champion, you've worked with him in the past with the AJ fights. Do you see a route back into kind of the upper echelons of the division?
100%. He's up there, isn't he? He's in those top names in the division. Great character. He looks in great shape as well. Obviously training in the Team Canelo Eddie Reynoso camp. That's obviously been paying off for him. Saw some pictures of him yesterday. Looked like me trying to take a picture.
It's all about the angles.
Yeah, I haven't learned that yet. But yeah, it looks in really good shape, and he's got massive opportunities out there for him. There's massive fights. You know, you look outside of AJ Fury, and then you've got Wilder, obviously. I think Wilder-Ruiz is a great fight. And then beyond that, those guys, and then Dillian White-Povetkin, the winner of that fight, you know, they are really the top names in and around there. Joseph Parker's got his fight on Saturday. You've probably got a group of 8 to 10 guys that are going to, you know, be involved in this, apart from the people coming through, the younger fighters, but going to be involved in really, really great fights in the heavyweight division. So I think Andi Ruiz has got a great opportunity. He needs I think he needs a big win to come back from and show, because I think, you know, if he's in shape, he can definitely put in a great performance and get a good win, and there's definitely opportunities for him down the line. Obviously, everyone's looking forward to Joshua Fury first, and a lot's going to happen once that's all said and done. I'm sure a lot will happen with the belts, because it gets to the point where it's difficult to keep hold of them all.
Parker Ruiz would be a great rematch.
Yeah, really great. You know, Parker's obviously fighting far tonight, tomorrow night, like whenever you put this out and whatever time zone people are on. That's a great fight. And I think Parker has been rebuilding, hasn't he? You know, he's had a couple of fights in the US, got this in New Zealand, which is a huge fight for New Zealand. But yeah, definitely a great rematch that could be made there.
What's your understanding of the AJ Fury situation? I'm sure you've seen kind of Tyson's quotes and AJ's quotes over these past couple of days. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, look, it's in a good place. We're all working to get it done. Everyone's putting their efforts towards that. It's the biggest fight in world boxing. So hopefully very soon you'll see some news, and you know we'll get it all over the line. But like I say, everyone's working towards the same goal to make that fight happen, and I can't wait for it.
Tyson said he doesn't feel that the fight now is any closer than what it was a year ago. Just your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I haven't seen the statement, but ultimately I think everyone's on the same page. They want to make the fight happen. That's all I can really say at this point. And let's see what happens over the next couple of weeks.
Where do you think the likely location for the fight would be?
There's lots of places being talked about at the minute. I think the key point first is get the final terms done between the parties, and then start those discussions with various sites. But you've heard all the places that are being spoken about, from Saudi Arabia to Singapore, Abu Dhabi. All over the place that are being spoken about. But I think the key thing is we've got to get our work done between the parties and then work from there.
I saw that Eddie did a few interviews a couple of days ago, and he mentioned that he spoke to Eddie Reynoso and Canelo about trying to kind of move into the Mexican market, trying to nurture and grow the new Mauricio Laras, the Valenzuelas and what have you. Can you fill us in any more on kind of the plan there and what exactly you guys will be doing?
Yeah, look, I think we've got a global plan. Obviously, we're looking at a number of markets now to go into. You know, we're well established in the UK. Obviously, that was our first market. US, I think we're in a great place now. You know, it took us a period of time, but it was never going to be overnight. And like I say, we're now working with the number one, you know, fighter in the world up there. We've got Anthony Joshua and Canelo Alvarez. We've got the two biggest stars in world boxing. It doesn't get any bigger than that. So we're at the place we want to be. Italy has been great. You know, we built some stars there. You've got Daniel Scardina fighting tonight. Spain, we're launching. We've got a show in Uzbekistan being announced soon. We've got Thailand, we've got New Zealand. So Mexico is another natural market with the talent there that we want to branch into. So as part of this overall growth plan and building the Matchroom brand and, you know, working with our partners in Canelo and Eddie Reynoso, I definitely think that's a big opportunity.
What Povetkin 2 taking place in Gibraltar, Frank? I know you usually are heavily involved in kind of the locations and effectively setting up the events, as we saw. I know you was very, very heavily involved in the Ruiz-Joshua rematch out in Saudi. Talk to me about trying to set this one up in Gibraltar.
Yeah, it's fun. We've got a team out there at the minute. We've got about 10 people who've gone to Gibraltar for some meetings today. Lots of planning to do. Obviously, we're in a period of time that isn't easy. You know, even without COVID, organising a show in another country with 4 or 5 weeks 5 weeks' notice is not easy. But, you know, we've got, like I say, strong team out there. We've flown our medical team, flown our production team out there. They're working through it all at the minute. Looking forward to it.
And then final thing, Frank.
Rumble on the Rock.
That wasn't a name which kind of went down brilliantly.
It wasn't my idea. Can I just say it wasn't? That was Eddie's idea.
Final thing, Frank. The UK government has announced the route back to fans being able to attend live sporting events, kind of trial periods in April, and then moving back to no more than 10,000 in May, I believe it was. Just your thoughts on that news and how it may impact you guys and the announcement of your future shows. Does it kind of put everything back with regards to, do you continue to put shows behind closed doors, or do you have to wait a bit? How does it impact it all?
I think, you know, we have to take a view once we have the actual details. Because there's no real plan put out. They've mentioned that about 10,000 people, but what is that based on? 100,000 seat stadium? Who knows? What social distancing guidelines, etc. You know, and I think there's a lot of detail that still needs to be worked on. We saw it when we did the December 12th show and we had 1,000 people at Wembley Arena. I think, you know, we need to see that info. But we're not going to let it hold up what we're doing. You know, we're going to carry on delivering the sport because we need to. We need to keep the momentum going, as we've said before. And so we will make decisions as and when we have the detail to do so. But we're not going to say, right, let's wait until September to do anything because we can't get crowds in April, May, June, July. So let's wait and see how it plays out. But our aim is to get people back in there as soon as we can. We don't want to go backwards. We want to move forwards with things, and we will do.
Right, so Frank, we can leave that there now. I kept you for 18 minutes. You said you'd struggle to talk for 15, so we've managed to string that one out. I appreciate your time, mate. Obviously, enjoy the rest of your time in Miami. I believe you said you're going to stay out here for a little bit longer?
Yeah, I was supposed to fly home, but I would have had to do the quarantine, obviously, to fly straight back out to America for our Dallas event. So I think now I'm just going to stay in Miami for a few days, then go to Dallas, and then I'll do my quarantine when I go home after that.
Well, Frank, hopefully I'll see you at a UK show very soon. I appreciate your time as always. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thanks for having me, mate, and thanks for coming out here as always.